Well, happy Monday to you, everybody. It's time again, once again for the award-winning, legendary, Emmy award-winning. If there was an Emmy for Facebook Live videos and shows, this would be one of them. At least nominated. I don't know if we'd win it all, but we're so good we even have our own theme music, our own music. That's how good we are. Now let's roll that theme music now. Virtual Happy Hour is on the air. Here we go. Oh yeah, just look at the weather, boy. I didn't know. I mean, it kind of snuck up on us, didn't it? The whole well, I say us. If you live in the South, it's still a good, oh gosh, 10, 11, 12 hours from us, but it's still in the general vicinity. But that Hurricane Sally um, going to hit looks like east of New Orleans and between Mobile and New Orleans. So that one kind of snuck up on us there, like out of nowhere, sort of out of nowhere. But this show sort of also is out of nowhere. We kind of come out of nowhere and just bring you riveting broadcast material. Two ways to look at this show. First off, it's go to the bar. It's after a long weekend. You've had maybe it's been a weekend, a 3-day weekend. You've had great crowds at your place all weekend. You hadn't had a delivery, so you're kind of low on stuff, right? So maybe you want a light beer and you've only got a certain brand left. Well, maybe you want like a rum and coke, and maybe you've got to do maybe it's the well rum as opposed to the fancy stuff whatever people are ordering these days, right? You get two of them. That's what you do. You get what's left. That's what this show is. It's what's left, and it's also an exercise in sort of what I do in my normal job, which I haven't done now. Gosh, well, I did a few of them over in Australia back in January, but in reality, I haven't done a regular season game in dang near a year. Today was the final broadcast that I did. Actually, I take that back. Today's the 14th. It would have been actually a year tomorrow, I believe, was my final one. So anyway, it keeps me on my toes, keeps me going. We also got graphics, everything else. Other things going on, we'll kind of chat about a bit later. Cowboys meltdown, nothing's different there. Doesn't matter. Pay Dak, don't pay Dak. Mike McCarthy, Jason Garrett. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the participants or the cast members. Same old story, because certain cast members have not changed. And we saw last night that Jerry Jones got richer by the stadium in Los Angeles. But by the way, if you guys never read the ESPN piece last spring, Jerry had a very big hand in that LA stadium, the construction site, a very big moneymaker for the Cowboys and for his family. But again, the cast of characters sort of change a bit, but the leading characters don't. And as much as I love the brand, and I do love Jerry, and I think what they do is great, but what they do on the football field continues to be, well, what they do on the football field, which is basically fart and fall down. That's what they do. Very Big Ten-esque, except for Ohio State, I guess is what I would say. Other items of note, this is a big one here in Dallas-Fort Worth, here in Texas. The Dallas Stars have been to 2 Stanley Cup finals in their history, won one in 99, lost one in 2000. For the first time since 2000, the Stars are one game away, one more win away from advancing to the Stanley Cup Finals in what is a very, very odd year. So those are kind of the headlines from my neck of the woods. From another neck of the woods, and she's got a great shot of her wall or ceiling there. Mom, there we go. Mom, how are you doing? You were. It looked like you may have either the phone fell asleep or you fell asleep waiting. One of the two.
Well, I had to move over to where I used to sit from the chair that I usually am at, because my phone was almost dead, and so I have this new table that has I don't know if you can see it or not, but
Yep.
it has in the back it has 2 plug-ins and a USB port.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So and it closes up. It's a lamp table, but anyway, and it has a tray that pulls out and yada yada yada. So anyway, I
Well,
moved over there.
that's kind of become the thing. Tables with the little plug-ins, like for example, I didn't notice this last night, but I actually bought this little 2-pack of these. Well, I'll show them to you guys. I bought these a while back, maybe a year ago on Amazon. They're these little chargers. That's where you let my Android will lay down on it, and I bought one for the bedroom 3 or 4 years ago when they first came out. And then I bought a little 2-pack of these for like $20. And I had one for travel, but actually I've been taking this one on the road with us. I had one just sitting around, and I realized yesterday we actually have the little USB plugs. When GM got the house redone, she put USB plugs in the wall socket. So you got the sockets, and then you got USB plugs, and now you get furniture with that. You got those. I mean, you can go to a Hoots or a Buffalo Wild Wings now, and you can plug your phone into the bar right there. So you got to have a place to plug in, Mom. That's good. You okay there?
Oh yeah, just allergies. But anyway, yeah. Well, I had an old antique that was my grandmother's, and that said here three. It was triangle shaped. Well, it was getting kind of non-functional, and so I was looking for an end table about 2 years ago, and I came across this online, and I ordered the darn thing. And so Sam and Stephanie got the end table for their house. So there you go.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
So
Well, that's all good. That's all good.
yeah.
That's all very good. Actually, Kevin says, yes, Kevin, the charger that you left at my place in Kansas City is actually in my car. It's in my car, in my console, because I aimed and sent it to you, and I guess I never did. So I'm going to see Brother Daryl. Going to see David up there up Northeast and others out there. Yes, Kevo. So do you still need the charger? It's already been over a year. That's terrible on my part. Show me your address, and I'll be out and about tomorrow. I'll see if I can mail that to you, because it's funny because actually Kevin, on Saturday, I believe it was, no, Friday, one of the days I was running some errands, and I reached around to grab my sunglasses where this little console thing was. You don't need any more? Okay, well, I guess it'll make a nice little. I don't know, paperweight. I guess. I don't know.
Well, I got another charging station at the casino on Saturday.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Well, but it's one that it's a docking, where it's wide, and you put all sizes of gadgets on it, from tablets.
Sure.
And then it's got one area that's you just lay the phone down. Hi, Gay Marie. And I already have one of those. Here's that one.
Go ahead, babe.
I was just going to say hi to your mom.
Well, she couldn't hear you because I had the headphones on. So let me turn the volume up. Hold on, Mom.
Okay.
I turned it down because we had it on for church earlier yesterday, and it was like 100 points. There we go. Can you hear now?
I heard her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cat says hi too.
Oh, hi, Cat.
The dog.
Everybody's in here.
Everybody's in here. I'm just
the dog too. Yeah. But anyway, so I don't really need that, but I guess I'll figure out a place to put it in my office. I'm not sure. Plugs are at a premium there, so anyway.
Can't have enough of them. And I can't believe I had that one in my drawer. So now I put that one I was showing you, that extra one, downstairs next to, because GM's got our own little power station down there, and when we're holding that couch down to make sure it doesn't escape, we've got a place to put our chargers, so we're all good.
Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. Claudette and I spent the night.
Yeah, I knew that. It's funny because we were actually at, by the way, welcome to Virtual Happy Hour if you guys had just joined us. But we actually went to my brother, Chris and Annie's house on Saturday, right, babe?
Yes.
And they were going to call you, but I told them, I think that Mom, well, do you think she's still up? And I said, well, she's probably still up. It was like, 9 o'clock our time, 10 o'clock up there, Eastern time. But I said, she's probably, I think she's at the casino overnight, and she's probably up, but she's probably not really want to be bothered right now. So we didn't call you Saturday night because of it. So I saved you some distraction while you're at the machines, Mom. You're welcome.
I was making my way up to the room by that time. We'd gotten there about 3, and and wearing those masks for that long a time, it really sucks. And and you have to. They don't come around and tell you, but somebody else will if they don't. But anyway,
hold on. What are you doing? Hold on. Are you gonna walk across the screen? What are you gonna do?
Literally, she's literally on your computer.
I mean, what are you doing, knucklehead? Hold on. This is what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with this.
She wants some attention.
What? What are you doing? Are you gonna just walk across the keyboard now? And you gotta be kidding me. Now she's standing on the keyboard. Okay, now get off the keyboard. What?
She's got her. She's showing her ass.
Yeah, she's doing that. I got she's just right there. Just keep it right there. Right next to the mouse. She thinks the mouse. She's gonna chase the mouse.
I know, because now she's making you sound like you're in her sanctum.
And she just literally jumped on my phone, and then jumped on my shoulder, and then jumped off the back, catapulted the chair, and then over the. I mean, it's like
your Jim Breeze.
When mom comes home from school. I mean, she was downstairs in her little spot all afternoon. I was downstairs we're baking rib. We're doing ribs tonight, so I've got them for another 30 minutes or so in the oven, and I'll put them on the grill for a couple minutes. But she was down there while I was doing prep and sitting, and I actually sat there and read for 2 hours basically. She didn't move. And then when mom comes home, she goes crazy. So it's all you, Jim.
When do you weigh in?
Probably not till Friday or Thursday or Friday.
He'll hit 70.
Thursday or Friday. Thursday or Friday.
Well, you got to let me know, because Friday might be a dollar day.
Might be. I don't know. We'll see. I had lunch today, so that doesn't bode well for the rest of the week. So
he can eat. I mean, he can't eat.
No.
That's what I tell him.
Can't eat. Can't eat. When you're a fat kid, instead of blood, you've got pasta sauce. You can't eat a lot. So
he's ridiculous.
Well, your mom's taking up where you're leaving off, so there you go.
And tonight, unfortunately, the tradition of having Monday Night Football wings is kind of messed up. But I'll get back to that in a week or so.
I know we had
wings yesterday, so we ate early. It wasn't really a football. The whole evening wasn't really a football evening. It was really weird. We got to fix that, but all good.
Well, I was going to boycott the NFL, but I love football too much to do that.
Why were you going to boycott the NFL? Just because they're being political?
Yeah, well, if you don't come out for the national anthem, you're an ass. I can tell you that for sure. That's ridiculous.
Well, you're not alone. Although you're thinking there are a lot of folks think the same thing. So
but I watched anyway, so I'm not boycotting. So
I have a friend of mine who's not playing fantasy this year, is not doing anything, and I almost got drawn outside today to make a comment about it. But I'm like, I'm just trying to, and luckily I'll give the networks credit, except for NBC, which they're terrible anyway. But in general, yesterday Fox and CBS didn't really talk much about it or even have it. But
the funny,
NBC did.
Didn't Aikman make a comment that
was because their lighting was bad. Their stage director.
What did he say? What the F? Is that what?
Yeah. Their stage director messed up their lighting, and it's a funny video because they swung the camera around and they had the lighting off, and Troy was basically halfway in the dark, and he dropped some colorful language, but it was fun. He actually had a little laugh about it later on. I'll be interested to see what he does when he comes on the. He does the local radio. No, he lives here, of course, and he's on the ticket during the week, and I think Tuesday or Wednesday morning. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say Wednesday morning on the radio.
Well, I didn't hear it. I was listening. I was watching, but I didn't hear it. But I heard about the lighting and everything, but I didn't hear him say that. So it must have been really kind of muted. But
well, it's funny. But again, like I said, I mean, NBC sort of talked about it a little bit, but the rest of it, I mean, I didn't. The thing that was I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't. I'm trying to just pretend that it doesn't happen. I'm trying to pretend that stuff's not going on, just so I can enjoy the games in general.
That's kind of me. I'm kind of I've got blinders on like a racehorse.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's the same. You know what? It's the same principle I have with my Hollywood shows I like. I mean, for example, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. Kevin knows that show. And Larry David's a bit of a liberal, but I love this show. And
Well,
I take their politics. I take their politics out of the shows I like and just try to forge through it because
Well,
again, like I keep saying, if you're taking your lead from politicians, actors,
you're screwed anyway if
and
you take your
athletes,
lead
you're
from
probably in the
them.
wrong spot. You need to be taking your nods from somebody else, from a higher
That's
calling.
right.
But
Right.
anyway,
For your dog.
Well,
oh, your dog.
yeah.
Hello,
So
buddy. What do you
I
want
have,
up here too?
Yeah. I want up.
Come here.
Come here.
Jump up here.
There you go. Here.
Up, there we go. Hello, folks. Hello, everybody.
hi, Max.
Max, look at the screen, buddy.
Oh, how was the boy Max on Saturday? Did you see him?
We didn't see
We
him.
didn't see him.
He has a new love interest.
Get down.
It's not Sophie.
No.
No. And we were there.
Was Bennett there?
No, he was in Fort Worth with his love interest.
Love interest.
Okay.
Some
Well,
porn-
I don't. So,
Which
so
could be interpreted
I would've
several
been
ways.
overpowered. Well, I did hear from your sister that she FaceTimed me yesterday, wishing me. Declan gets on the phone on FaceTime and says, "Happy Grandmom's Day, Mama Cece." So it was Grandparents' Day yesterday.
Was it?
So there you. Yeah.
News to me. I don't have any.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I wouldn't have known if I hadn't. Somewhere did I see it? Claudette and I took a tour of restaurants to eat in because I get tired of eating at the casino. So she doesn't know anything about stuff up there. So we went first to Stray Dog yesterday.
Yum.
Well, the line was all the way down to the parking behind it. So
Oh my gosh.
Then we went to Bentwood Tavern, and you had to call in and leave a message. We sat there 10 minutes. They never called us. Well, the people going and coming. I said, this is too busy too. So then we went to Journeyman's. I went in and they said it'd be a 20 to 30-minute wait. And I said, no. So then we drove all the way to Mishawaka or Granger and we ate at Villa McCree. I don't think you've ever eaten there, but it's a big Italian restaurant. And we ate outside. So she was happy and we had good food. So there you go. So
There you go.
So what was when we left the casino, checked out, we had it for 2 nights, but so we don't have to get up the next, yesterday morning too early. Well, when we left the casino at noon, they were lined up to get checked into the hotel. They don't usually start checking you until 2. So I don't know what was going on. It's crazy. People were out like crazy yesterday.
Well, I can tell you, sent me. MGM sent me several really, we're talking like ridiculously cheap hotel. Vegas is already pretty cheap, but they've sent even cheaper offers because they're trying to get people to go back to Vegas. So
yeah. Well, mine were free also, but of course the gambling was not free. Anyway, so I was up and about. I actually am kind of dressed and I had makeup on, so I'm a little more. I'm a little less grandmotherly looking today, but I had to talk one of my board members off the ledge because she didn't get the $5,000 donation from her boss. She just got $500, and she was thinking she was a failure. So I had to take her to lunch and get her off the ledge, and so now we're okay. So
all good.
Yeah, all good. So I'm going to move on so that you
all
can
right.
talk to everybody else, and I'll see you on the other side.
All right, love you, Mom. Good to see you.
Bye now.
There goes my mom there in Indiana. They're on virtual happy hour. Any thoughts, WD-40, on Mom Cam at the moment? Hello?
Any thoughts on the camera?
On her. Any thoughts on her appearance?
She did a good job. She always does.
No, but I didn't know if you had anything to add. You're just going to sit there on my shoulder and just lurk.
I wanted to know if Sam's still playing, if anybody's gotten sick.
Well, yeah, they're playing this weekend. I believe they played last weekend. They did played last weekend. They're playing this weekend coming up. Yeah. I
found out that my Lions are playing ESD in Green Hill at home and Country Day on the road, I think.
And what? Flag football?
No, in football.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And they started practice today.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
Surely Cistercian's going to be involved.
That's
right?
what I asked. I was like, "What about Cistercian?" They're like, "I don't know," and I'm like, "I
No,
guess it's because it's not in there."
Sounds like they're not going to do it. Oh well, but I mean, I would say what 80% of schools in Texas are playing. Maybe I would think. I mean, I know over the weekend the schools in the city started practicing over the weekend. It was their first day they could practice. Well, I I don't know how they determine. Usually they obviously practice depending on the date, late July, early August. But they were actually out there on Saturday, and there was on the news last night. They were showing highlights of the weekend of the teams that hadn't played yet were practicing. So I know their schedule starts 20th or something, maybe. I don't know. That weekend, whatever that is, the 20th would be, but that's Saturday.
Yeah.
So it'll be just 2 weeks, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah.
Good to see your mom.
Still playing, 3 games played so far, Mom says. So
Okay.
that's what she said. So all good.
So nobody's gotten sick. That's good.
Well, they probably had people get sick. I don't think they've had COVID. That's probably,
That's what I mean.
yeah, I don't know if
There's
that's
only one kind of sick right now.
right. The wife over here, hold on. Come here. I was gonna say, know what you're talking about. What were you saying?
There's only one kind of sick in the world right now.
Okay. Thank you. Love you. We're actually having one of my signature. I say signature. Obviously, love ribs, love barbecue. Being a Texan, working in Kansas City doesn't hurt. Hey, Derek, good to see you, brother. The only thing I don't have in my cooking arsenal is a smoker. So the best way to do ribs, if you don't have a smoker, is to slow cook them. And this is an oven style that I've done, and I use this recipe. It's on my YouTube page. The Broadcaster Can Cook. It's one of the first ones I did. It's pretty simple. It's a real easy baked 3-hour rib, and it's better if they're. It doesn't have to be boneless, but they're country style. You can do bone in or bone out of rib. I mean, however you want to do it. I prefer this recipe without bones, the country style. And anyway, we got about another. What we got, honey? About another what? Let's see here. I can tell you. I'll give you an update. We've got we're almost done.
Okay.
17 minutes, but you'll just have to turn them off, and I'll put them on the grill to finish them when I get done with the show. How about that? So that's where we're at. But we're doing it's again, it's a barbecued, it's a baked rib. I mean, it's not smoked, but again, that's probably one of the things we're going to invest in. Kevin says he had a Facebook friend who's a diehard Vikings fan who turned the game off because of Fox going overboard. See, I think it was we don't have the Sunday ticket here, although I've debated on getting it. But one of the things I liked is that I do like to go to the pub or to Buffalo Wild Wings or Hoots or whatever, or Pluckers, and see all the games and have some wings on a Sunday. So we'll do that. So we haven't got it. And plus, we originally thought we were going to be in Lubbock quite a bit, which we still are going to be in Lubbock quite a bit, and we thought we'd be out there. So with that being said, I didn't get the Sunday ticket. Had debated about it, didn't, but what was I saying? But the Sunday. Oh yeah, we got early game was Redskins. Sorry about that. Troy made the same mistake. Eagles and the team from the Washington football team. It's kind of a funny bit. I kind of think that maybe that they should keep this whole bit going. Although I'm wondering how in the world does Daniel Snyder owns the Redskins as one of the wealthiest men in the NFL, and his staff didn't have, knowing that one day they may have to relinquish the Redskin name. Why didn't somewhere in a vault they've got a list of the top 5, 6 names they'd like to go to if they had to change? Surely they've done all this before. They've already been through this. They've been down this road. Surely they've been down the road already, and they already kind of have an idea. But to not have a name by now and not have a clue, I mean, to not even have I guess they were that belligerent, or maybe they thought they were that big of a deal that they wouldn't have to change the name. But you kind of think, maybe they'd had there's been talk about this for years. So surely they had, maybe in the background, some kind of possible plan B. They talked about it, maybe. Guess not. Anyway, that's the game we got. The first game, the second game, that was the early game for us. and we had the double. It was actually 2 games. We had that game, and then we had the other game would have been the so terrible of a game. I can't remember who it was. It would have been because we had the late games, Saints and oh yeah, early game would have been. We had the Fox game was again the Washington and Philly, and then the CBS game was Patriots and Dolphins, and the late game was a national game. We got the Saints and Bucks, and then we got treated as some kind of racing nonsense, and then I guess Rangers baseball sort of, and then we had of course the late night Cowboy debacle last night. But anyway, what I was saying was, Kevin, for what I saw, now this is what I saw. The 3 games I saw and watched quite a bit of, I didn't get force-fed that whole thing, that narrative. The NBC, to a degree, did. They did focus on Poe, the player that the Cowboy, and he already said he wasn't going to, he already told the fans and Jerry he was going to kneel. It was just no surprise. I do believe the Cowboys, when they played Lift Every Voice, I believe the song is, which is kind of the unofficial African-American national anthem, which is really an interesting, cool song. I've learned about it within my racial reconciliation class. It's really kind of cool. But I didn't know the song existed until about 2 months ago. But the Cowboys were actually on the field in the end zone for that and paused. They were stretching or something. The Rams were on the field for that, so they missed that. But that was kind of what the deal was. Let's see what else we got here. Still playing 3 games so far. Let's see here. Penn State might be playing in October, but no. Michigan State or Michigan, no illnesses for Concord so far either. Yes, that was the story today. I've not read anything in the last 3 hours or so, but right after lunch, it appears the Big Ten's done a reversal. They're going to try to, well, part of the Big Ten are going to play. I believe Maryland does not want to play. Does that really move your needle by them not playing? I mean, Maryland and Rutgers kind of fill out that league anyway in football. I mean, it's kind of like, great schools, I'm sure, but does that really move the needle? Nebraska, Iowa, I know they want to play. Ohio State definitely wants to play. I know Michigan wants to, but I don't believe it's going to be a statewide deal. They're just not going to be able to do it. But I assume the Indiana schools are all in. I would assume that Illinois and Northwestern, I would assume, because the minor league team in Chicago played all summer. And they're probably 25 minutes, maybe less, maybe 20 minutes from there to Northwestern where that team plays. So, Big Ten's at a reversal. They may be playing, may not. So Penn State, good for GM. She'll be able to pull for her team. I don't know who she's talking about skinny, but all good. Your high school, my mom went to Seminole High School in Seminole, Texas, the Indians. I did look this up, Mom. They're still the Indians, and they still play at Wigwam Stadium and that's still what it's called. Wigwam Stadium in Seminole, that's still what it's called. So let's see here. What else we got on the show? Notre Dame played. Yes, they did. I saw that. They played Duke. So I think the Big Ten, and I don't know about the Pac-12, but I know the Big Ten is thinking, well, maybe if you watch the Big 12, you basically the odds of a Big 12 team being in the Final Four, if they're not of them not being named Oklahoma, Texas, or maybe Oklahoma State, those 3 teams are probably the only 3 that have a chance to be the Final Four. The rest of the Big 12 is terrible. I mean, that was embarrassing on Saturday. I don't know how much of a knee jerk this is because it's the COVID thing, but here's the thing: you can blame COVID, and maybe the home field advantage is not nearly what it was before. I mean, if you're playing at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames, and they have a good crowd at Ames, they've been drawing pretty well because they've jumped on the bandwagon with the Cyclones. You kind of figure, or K-State, Manhattan, they kind of come out of the woodwork for K-State football. Not sure why, they do. You figured that there's a built-in home field advantage. Texas Tech should have a pretty good home field advantage for a night game in Lubbock when you have all day to drink, but they didn't. Of course, with these crowd limitations, fans are limited, right? So I don't know how much of that is the fact the home field is not. That's part of it. The home field's gone away. That's part of it. I mean, look at the University of Texas playing UTEP and look at their fans and having the upper deck empty was really bizarre. Watching the Cowboys and Rams last night was bizarre. That being said, they wear uniforms too. If using it, I don't know, use Arkansas State or University of Louisiana. The University of Louisiana is the one that beat up on Iowa State. They had the same issues that Iowa State had. They've had COVID issues. They're playing on the road. Now, I mean, did the crowd neutralize the game? Is what I'm saying. Does the home field? And I think you're going to find the home field means less and less early on until crowds come back. I think the NFL, we saw over the weekend. I mean, Seattle on the road at Atlanta. I mean, there was some home teams wanted me. There was no rhyme or reason to it. In the NFL, it's gotten less and less of a proposition than the home team anyway. But I think you're seeing the colleges where college teams had a huge, huge advantage playing at home. You didn't see it this weekend. I mean, the Big 12 was terrible. I mean, terrible. I mean, that K-State crowd didn't help K-State at all to pull out Squeaker and that Tech nonsense in Lubbock. The crowd was not negligible. I mean, just didn't really. Tech dang near gave them away to an FCS school. So, I mean, the Big 12 is terrible. So I guess the Big 10 saw an opening. Of course, they already talked about it prior. The Big 10 had already been thinking about coming back. As a matter of fact, when Trump met with their Commissioner Warren, encouraged him to play, they sat out for a week to 10 days. They didn't want to look. By no means, let's not support. Let's not show that we're supporting anybody. Crying out loud, the fans just want football. They can care less who you're supporting politically, but it became a political thing. They sat out for a week. Now they voted. Depending on how you read it, they're going to play in some form of fashion, so that's all good. The name Indians isn't in jeopardy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess otherwise we'll get. Well, not. I don't know what I did. I never saw about Minnesota, Kevin, and you would know more from. I did know Michigan and Michigan State and Maryland were the three that for sure were probably out of the playing mix. I do know that I know Penn State wants to play big time. Of course, Michigan wants to, but that's probably not to. That's not to Harbaugh. It's more to the state and the officials there at University of Michigan. But yeah. Anyway, good to see Virginia out there, and glad you guys are along. Virtual happy hour. We're on a Monday edition. What else? I mentioned. Again, just to close out the whole, I have no problem, and I've said this before, I got no problem with folks want to take a knee or not. I'm not going to get butthurt about it one way or the other. And maybe I'm coming from a Texan point of view. It's the old joke I tell the Australians when I'm in Australia. Hey, mate, where in the States are you from? Or, hey, mate, are you American? And I always chuckle and go, not really. Oh, you're Canadian. No, not Canadian. They think I'm like from Alberta or from Calgary. No, not from there. Or they'll say, oh, mate, you're American, right? And I'm like, and I always kind of laugh. Well, no, not really. And kind of chuckle at them and say I'm from Texas. And they're like, oh, okay, gotcha. It's kind of like being Australian. You're not really, you don't ever tell an Australian, oh, you're from England? You're from New Zealand? No, you're an Australian. You're an Australian. You're not from New Zealand. You're not a Kiwi. You're not a Palmy from England. You are Australian. You're very much so. And if you're from Western Australia, you're very much from the West. It's part of it. You're in Queensland. You're in Queensland. They're very much like that. So they're very much like Texans in a way. So I always get a kick when they say to me, oh, you're American? I go, well, yeah, sort of. Or, well, not exactly. Or no. So maybe I'm coming from a Texas point of view, but I will say this, and having spent the better part of the summer in a racial reconciliation group with my church and another church, perspective has changed dramatically. My wife and I were talking about this last night. Politically, I mean, I don't think it's very hard to figure out which probably way I'm going to probably vote. I'm not going to vote. Don't hold it against me, because at the end of the day, that's not who I'm worshiping anyway. That being said, we may vote a certain way, but we don't vote. We also have certain causes we believe in. And a lot of folks who vote a certain way are really against this whole NFL, NBA stuff. I'm not. Call me, let's say, pigeonhole me as liberal, whatever, cancel me all you want to. But hearing the stories, when George Floyd, I was touched when George Floyd's situation happened. A dear friend of mine from Tech, I won't name him now, but he knows this. We've reached out. Dear friend of mine, happens to be black, was in tears the next day because he was worried about his own sons, about what their future may hold. And as a parent, I can only imagine. I feel the same way about my girls. I mean, they're my bonus kids, but I feel the same way as a parent. I know my wife does. What happens to them and how they're treated, and they're not canceled out or that they're not in jeopardy. And I was touched by Ronaldo's. I just said his name. Sorry about that, but I was touched by his response, and I reached out to him and said how much that meant to me. And then having this class I've been doing with our church, Park Cities, and Concord, it is an issue. And when the NBA, and I have no problem with the NBA, 70-some-odd% of the players are African American. It's perspective to them. If it was the other way around, it'd be my perspective. I can't relate. So again, yes, I call me liberal, call me terrible. I don't want my politics and sports mixed together. I don't want them mixed together at all. But I get why they're doing it, and I'm just kind of the point now where I understand why they're doing it. And as long as they're not being disrespectful and burning a flag, I don't think they're I don't believe their purpose is to dishonor soldiers, people who died for our country, or any of that. I mean, what you got to remember too is, we had a lot of folks that died for our country in a time when our country is very segregated. I mean, I'm all for the greatest generation. Don't get me wrong; they did the greatest thing at all, the greatest thing in the world by fighting tyranny, the Germans and the Japanese back in the 1940s. It was a segregated world we lived in. You got to remember that too. I mean, you had black units and white units. I mean, we were only since Vietnam have we been where that's not the case. So I mean, we got to remember. I don't think that. And again, this might be upset some folks. People may get mad at me. I love the flag. I love America, but I love Texas too. But I'm not going to have. As long as I'm not being force-fed, I don't feel like I was force-fed it yesterday. I think it's kind of gone. I think it's died down enough. Now, granted, all it takes is one more mess to happen, and all of a sudden it gets magnified up again. This whole racial reconciliation, this thing must go on. We must heal these wounds. We must heal these issues. We must apologize, have empathy. As a great grandson of a slaveholder, I must apologize, and I have. Not something that I can do anything about, but just say, hey, I get it. And something we've talked about here. And again, I got no problem. And if people don't want to watch the NFL because they don't, I get it too. They want to be involved, I get it. If you want to be involved, I get it. What I'm trying to do is the same thing I do when I watch my favorite TV show. For example, certain agendas get force-fed down your throat every time you watch a TV show. Your favorite TV shows oftentimes have things I don't agree with, and they force-feed me these storylines, but I still love the show, and I still fight through it. Like I said, I mentioned Larry David. I love his work. I think that show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, is great, but Larry's a pretty liberal fella. It doesn't bug me. I'm not upset about it. I love the show, and I think the humor's great. I'm sure I like the guy. I don't dislike him or anybody because of it. And again, it's not. I take it what it is when I, love Bull Durham. It's a great movie. But what's his name that played Ebby Calvin-Lelouch, Susan Sarandon's husband? What's his name? I can't remember, Drew blank on his name. They're liberals, they come, but I'm like, I don't not watch the movie because that guy because the character who plays him in real life is something else. I just don't worry about that. It doesn't dawn on me. So I've kind of blocked it out. Although saying that, as a white moderate, I still believe we need to forward racial healing and building a bridge. I believe in that. And I think there's a place for that. Churches, civically, socially, all that. Those are things we need to be doing. And again, if you're taking your lead from politicians, Hollywood stars, and athletes about your social causes, I love Tim Tebow. I think Tim Tebow's great. A lot of people make fun of the poor guy. It's all about perspective. So anyway, maybe I'm a little tangent there, but again, I get that, I don't, let's see here. Yeah, yes, let them be the. By the way, Kevin, that whole oops, there we go. Ribs are ready. Um, it's funny because I was watching commercials this weekend. That's the governor of South Dakota. It's Nome, her last name. Did a heck of a campaign during this whole COVID thing about, hey, come to South Dakota and come a holiday with us. Really, really good campaign. Whole premise is all lives matter. The media fault. Yes, again, and that's another thing. I watched the thing today, and this is the thing. A wife of a policeman friend of mine who's a Dallas policeman. His wife posted the video today, shot I believe last week down in downtown Dallas during the daytime about some folks blocking off the intersection, fine and dandy. But then for the protesters to turn and verbally assault a female police officer with the language they were using and talking to her the way they were, and then trying, and once there was a police line there, one of the commanders came and removed this woman from the line because she was getting picked on by these protesters, and just in her face like this, just calling her everything, just talking trash. I mean, the kind of verbal abuse no one should go through. It's the kind of verbal abuse, I'll tell you this, that in the Greek system and fraternities and sororities, where I grew up in college, if you'd have talked like that to a pledge, you'd lost your charter. You can't talk, but you'd apparently talk to people like this because that's how we do things this day and age. Well, they relieved this woman of her duty, didn't relieve her. They let her get in her car and move to their place in the operation. And some woman got behind the car, was hoping she'd get run over, and she kept trying to get hit so she can cause an issue. That's the kind of crud that's going on. So yes, I agree. And I think that's exactly Eames out of the oven. Just leave them there, sweetheart. Just let them go. We'll be on in a minute. And yes, I just saw the video a moment ago of the two officers shot in California and the perpetrator running away. Yeah, and I saw one of the NFL players yesterday wore the name of the black officer who was shot in St. Louis a few weeks ago and killed. I mean, there's a thing I saw today, saying all officers are bad is the same thing that people said back at 9/11. Well, all Muslims aren't bad. Well, if you can't sit there and tell me that and tell me all police are bad too, right? No one group of people are all bad. So again, it's a fine line, but I think what I've learned, and I from my African American friends have told me this, it's not the Black Lives Matter movement and the Black Lives Matter are two different things. And until you get in their situation, you don't. I mean, again, like I told you, my friend who's cried for his sons and their safety. I mean, as a parent, you cry, you worry about your kid's safety. So, again, little tangent. I don't really want to be in this place, but at the same time, I do have a platform as a broadcaster that I think I should say, hey, you know what? Again, I'm trying to think. I think Tom Cruise is a nut. I think the guy's a nut. He's a Scientologist. Totally think that's a bunch of baloney. But I love Top Gun, and I'll go watch the remake or the next one up when it comes out next year. I'll watch it. And I'll think nothing more than I'll be thinking of Tom Cruise as Maverick from Top Gun, not as Tom Cruise. Now, I'm not going to sit there and donate to his church, or I'm not going to read his bio or anything like that. But at the same time, again, so I use the Larry David example. I love the guy. I love his show. There are a lot of people in Hollywood I think are funny and hilarious. I love their stuff, but I don't, doesn't mean I have to be like them. I'm being entertained, and you got to remember, entertainment. These sports are entertainment. Watching this highlight again of the deputies being ambushed in California and watch the person run away. 2 deputies shot. That's real life. And that matters as much as the George Floyds, and they all matter. I mean, you're right. But again, I mean, I'm not gonna not watch because of it at the same time. Again, there's a fine line there. I mean, you don't want to. Don't watch us if you don't support us. That's the wrong way to go about it too. That's no different than me as a man of faith saying, well, if you don't believe what I believe, well, then we don't want to be around you. That's not the case. It's not the case at all. I got friends of mine who don't believe, who I'm still love more than anything in the world. I got friends that are conservative, they're liberal, and I still love them anyway. Because that's the way of that's what Christianity teaches. That's the way it is. So I'm not trying to give you guys a lecture here, but just saying. So I think my whole perspective has changed on this whole deal since this whole class. And again, as long as they're not burning a flag and shouting F-bombs with the national anthem, I mean, when I'm saying, for example, for me, when we sing a national anthem, this happens to be overseas a lot. Whenever I've heard the national anthem overseas, but even here in the States, oftentimes part of the national anthem, I pray, it's just my thing. When I'm in the broadcast booth and we have the national anthem, I love to carry it live. I love to carry the ambiance of a game on the radio broadcast, carry it live. I love to have the broadcast, the national anthem live, because I think it adds to the broadcast. And if it's a good singer, it just has you get a real goosebump feeling, right? But for me, as I'm on the air, I'm not talking during the anthem. I never talk during it. And oftentimes when I'm in the booth, no one sees this. I might be working. There's sometimes where I've got some, the national anthem is going on and I'm actually queuing up a spot, or I may be sitting because I've got to be sat and ready to go to operate my broadcast gear, one-man show. Sometimes I'm standing and I'm praying, but sometimes I close my eyes and I'm praying, or I'm also getting myself focused on the broadcast at hand, clearing my head, whatever it is. So, I mean, it doesn't mean and those aren't wrong things. I'm not standing there at attention, worshiping the flag either. I mean, I'm not discrediting it. And I've sat to the national anthem a bunch of times in the broadcast booth because I'm about to come back on the air again, and I've got 2 laptops going and I've got stuff going, and sitting down, I sit down early before this anthem's over. I'm sitting there and people have looked at me in the press box going, what's this guy sitting for? But I'm doing my gig. There's been times where I've actually had the anthem playing, or I've got the pregame show going in my ear, recorded, and I'm also, monitoring it, and I've got to, lean over, and I'm not even paying attention to the anthem going on at all. That doesn't mean I don't respect the anthem at the time. And I'm guarantee you, there, as an athlete, former athlete, yes, I'm standing there at the attention of the national anthem. And I can tell you right now, I'm thinking about the guy I'm lining up across from who's going to be wanting to beat my ass every play for the next 4 quarters. I'm thinking about how I'm going to block and how I'm going to be ready and do my job. Yes, I'm patriotic and looking at the flag, but you're in the moment of playing a game. You're sitting there concentrating on what's the matter at hand. You're not rolling through a highlight reel of D-Day. I mean, you might be. I mean, if you're a better man than me, but by and large, as an athlete, when you're at a high level, you're focused and ready to the job at hand. So, I don't know. I got off the whole tangent there. Let's see what else you guys got here. I'm just singing on, but too far. But I'm too far to come. Just signing on. Too far for ribs. Yeah. Ribs are up. I'm gonna talk what I'm gonna do. What I do with these ribs, this is one thing about these ribs that I do in the oven, because you can't smoke them. The rub will give it a little smoky flavor. And by the way, I use that Chicago rub, Mom. Some of it we got from Chicago Spice House. This is a part of the rib I've actually added to it. My light just went out again. I'm going to finish them on the grill. It gives them a little bit of a caramelized feel with the sauce. It just also gives them a little bit of a firmer coat. Gives them more of a thin layer of kind of that because when you smoke something, oftentimes that coating gets real, almost seals it in. It does sort of the same thing late. So I'm gonna do that with them. The issue, while it was born in my blogging hospital. Yeah, yes, well, that's the thing. Again, Kevin, you're right on. I'm telling you, these friends of mine have told me, and I didn't know this. Black lives matter. They do. They don't matter. But the political movement, that's a different animal. That's a political movement. It's a whole different animal. And there's two different notions here. And you got to be careful. And I which one they're talking. I get it. They got political movement. Watch these cops get berated on Facebook today. Dallas policemen get berated. Was the movement? Was the political movement? That was ridiculous. That was just, I couldn't get away with that. I couldn't even do that to anybody. Didn't matter how much, even my worst enemy, I couldn't have been berating them like that. Let's see. Plus, you never. Let's see. Plus, you never know what a manager. Yeah. Yes, this has happened before. Kevin, you were there, right? Or that's actually happened. The manager been wrong. Has been rung out of the game before the game started, right as the national anthem was playing. Still to this day, don't know what the hell happened in that ball game Kevin referring to. But Lance, I think I saw you post this maybe because your daughter, I believe, is at one of the schools in Lubbock, Coronado, I believe. And I believe that I think you said something about this the other day, but that's where I'm very thankful that I went to a private Christian school and our girls did. I'm not telling people how to believe. That's not what I'm saying. But I was fortunate to play football, baseball, soccer, tiddlywinks, whatever sport you want to call it. And we got to pray before and after every game. It was something we always did, the Lord's Prayer after the game with the team we're playing. Whether it be we prayed with other private schools that were religious. Some of them weren't. I remember doing the Lord's Prayer with St. Mark. So my wife teaches. It was an Episcopal school at one time, but it's not really that anymore. It's mostly a private boys' school. We prayed with those guys back in the day. As a matter of fact, I can tell you right now, when I was a junior, and Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, is a senior. I mean, his class and my class, our two teams were kneeling praying on our field. I know that. I was there, so I know what happened. But yeah, that's the one thing I'm thankful for. I know they're getting it. Let's see here. Oh no, I don't know why I missed something there. I'm behind here. Protesters. I mean, yes, that's true too. There's a lot of that nonsense going on. I mean, a lot of nonsense of that whole thing going on. Yes, the spices are great. Chicago Spice House. I don't know if there's a shop here in Dallas, Mom. I know that Central Market does carry a pretty good a little variety, but not what they do in Chicago at that one. I would think there's a store in Dallas. It gotta be. This is not like Backwater USA. It's what, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, the Dallas Fort Worth now. I mean, Bay Area, then Dallas Fort Worth. I mean, it's 4 or 5 depending on how you look at it. This is a mega place. So, but I don't think they have one here. Yeah, great stuff. It's the rub is actually it's a southern. I think the rub said Southern barbecue rub, and it had a little reddish tint to it. It looked really good. Yes, it was Stegner tossing Joe. We still this day don't know what happened. That was a game. Was that 2018? I want to say it was 18. That's 18. Well, I got my 18 and 19 mixed up. The umpire rung up Joe Capietra. The national anthem, still everybody's like, in the home of the brave. We're all still holding that brave. And Joe's being tossed at that moment. And we're like, we were incensed. Yeah, I went in a long run. I got to find that game. Kevin, remind me too to find the game you're on with me. I need to do that too for you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was classic rant. Classic stuff right there. Yeah, all good. Yeah, I went my classic rant. Yeah, tonight, again, it's a weird sports year, and I thought about this today. Would you be upset if your team was in the World Series? I think 6 months ago or 3 months ago, you'd be like, I hope it's not us. Hope we're not the asterisk that's in the World Series. But now, I think you'll take, in this COVID world, in this 2020, you'll take your team in the postseason. And Dallas Stars are 1 game away from the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a little more legitimate than baseball because the hockey and the NBA pretty much played their whole season. And in the hockey's case, they had that. Well, the NBA had that they finished the season in the bubble, went to playoffs. The NHL had that. Basically finished the season in the bubble too, for seeding purposes. Only thing you take out is the crowd thing, and that's the only thing that's been taken out. But yeah, the Stars are 1 win away. from doing it. Yeah. Let's see. Kevin says there was a car show in the field and Stegner was met. Yes, that's right. There's a really cool little group there in Kansas City that brings their cars out late in the year. Usually on Sundays, a couple times a year. And really cool cars. And I've got a photo of actually, I took a picture during the anthem, right as the anthem was starting, of those cars, and the folks were singing. We actually had a choir, I believe, singing the anthem that day. So had a choir downstairs. We had the cars in the warning track. And yeah, I have a picture of that. And the year before they did this, they had the same situation happen. One of the cars died, and Mark Hamburger of the St. Paul Saints, with their pitchers, was off that day, was on the dugout, helped push this car with this old, like 1957 whatever, helped push it, started singing off the field. And that was the year before. But yeah, all good. Let's see. I think it was pitcher wanted to wait till the cars. Yes, the pitcher wanted to wait, let them get off the field, because they had probably a dozen of those vintage cars there, and they just want to get them out from behind home plate, and they can start throwing. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. What else you guys got today? Everybody else have a good weekend? We had a good weekend here. We had a great time with my brother and his wife at their house. Good times there. Yesterday we had a little wingage and watched some football. We had a great time on Saturday. I mentioned on Friday, my fraternity brother Curtis and his wife Melanie, we went and saw their youngest play in the Dallas Mavs ballpark. I meant to bring those pictures up. I don't think I posted them. They're on my Instagram. I've been by this place a couple of times. Really cool little ballpark. It looks a lot on the outside like, if you're ever to Cooperstown, like Doubleday Field on the outside, with a little bit of a Williamsport Little League World Series feel to it. It's got field turf, but it has that same dimensions of a Little League park. It's what it is. It's located basically on the edge of downtown Dallas, about 2 blocks to the American Airlines Center. The Dallas Mavericks basketball team are the ones who put this little Legends field together, Field of Dreams together. And it was a cool little tournament. Poor little team was down 14-0 after the first inning. They only lost 15-0. From then on, they were great. They just had a real bad inning, but they came back and won a couple of games yesterday in the consolation bracket. But we went down there on Saturday and got a chance to watch our first live sporting event since, probably soccer last February for my nephew, or maybe SMU basketball at Moody last year. I mean, it's been 7 months since we watched the live sporting event. So that was kind of cool to do that. So really cool to see that and do that and see Kurt. It was cool to see Kurt and Melanie too. Love them dearly. Part of mine. Well, Mom, I want a new Maserati, and that's going to cost about $100,000. So you better start winning lots of money. All right, or that, or make lots of oil money or something. So yeah, I need a new Maserati. Just kidding. Yeah, and that's exactly what I said, Kevin. In that situation too, we were enjoying the anthem, feeling good about our country, and then boom. Now again, what I said earlier about the players, now baseball may be a little different unless you're a pitcher. If you're the starting pitcher, and we've had situations where the starting pitcher is going to sit too long. You don't want your starting pitcher sitting too long in the dugout. You want him ready to go. Baseball may be a little different, where players do sort of reminisce about Americana. But I just tell you from personal experience, when the national anthem played on a Friday Night Lights in Texas high school football, yes, yay America. I was very happy to be American. But I was also thinking in my head, okay, the guy across me from Bishop Dunn, I've got to remember he's going to try to do this to me. Probably, I know that he's been known to sort of want to poke my eyes out with his fingers when I get the ball in the pot. I mean, things like that. Or how I'm going to block on this play. Maybe put something new in. And I was also, offensive lineman and a kicker, so I had 2 different kinds of things I was thinking of, not just blocking, but also my kicking things as well. Going through my head, my assignments, and I'm focused. Come on, we got to get this. I'm not that I was being disrespectful, but I'm not going to sit there and tell you that during the national anthem I was focusing on America. But I think in baseball it's a little different. I think it's a little bit less of you're not going to beat your head against the wall and come out running and run against the wall against somebody. But yeah, that's what I said. We were enjoying the anthem as fans, and poor Joe got tossed. Let's see what else we got here. Caliche rocks. Well, that's not going to get you big bucks, Mom. So I'm not sure how that's going to. That won't be. Don't be buying any new Maseratis. That might even not. Might not even buy a used Maserati either. So. All right, guys. It's a busy night. Got doubleheader football tonight. We've got, by the way, my fantasy team stunk. Brutal. My picks against the line. Brutal. Thank God I didn't gamble this weekend. Thank you to the gambling gods. I didn't wager a dime. Thank you. 2 games tonight plus the Stars. So busy night on the house. Big week. We'll be back on Wednesday. It's weird. I don't have any T-Bone shows per se until, well, a week from, not this week, but next Wednesday we'll do it, but I'll do a shorter show. I would be remiss if I didn't mention earlier, too. I didn't mention this earlier, but I want to close with this. And thanks to Kevin for pointing this out, although I would have seen this eventually. But I didn't know this gentleman personally, but Charles Peterson, a scout for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's from South Carolina, a old Northern, I say old by the old, meaning Northern League. The Northern League was the precursor of the American Association and some of the Frontier League. He played for Winnipeg. He was a Winnipeg legend. Sioux Falls, played for Lincoln, and played a year in Kansas City. Had a really good year in Kansas City for a really good 2016. He passed from COVID complications over the weekend, I believe, and really sad to see. Been a scout with the Cardinals since 2012, but thoughts and prayers to Charles Peterson and his family, and just and for the baseball folks. A lot of people out there liked him. I didn't know him. I knew of him, but didn't know him. I'd heard great things, and all the reading. I've done a lot of reading about him, and just what a real good voice in the room he was for the Cardinals as well. Just a good guy. And I saw the tweet his son put out about his father, and broke my heart. Having lost a father as well, not to COVID, obviously, but anytime you lose your father, it's anytime you lose anyone. But just thoughts and prayers to their family, and best wishes. Not to leave in a sour note, but I think that's a thing that I did want to get out to you guys today. But anyway, anything else? I think that's pretty much caught it for the day. I don't believe I'm on with you guys tonight, Kevin. I did apologize to Rob. I'm going to apologize to you too. I wanted to go to Sioux Falls and call the game for the Milwaukee Milkmen tomorrow. The plan was to go tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and perhaps swing up to Indiana on the way back and be back here on Saturday. It just didn't work out. I got into my substitute gig, but my father-in-law, who is going under surgery, he's going to surgery in a couple of weeks for prostate cancer. The diagnosis it looked very good. He caught it early, and it looks like things are going to be really fine. There's not a lot of panic here, but still, he does have a procedure tomorrow leading up to that. Wednesday, and I had volunteered my mother-in-law, the great people. She's not going to be able to get him to and from, and I need to get him to and from on Wednesday. So, and I knew I didn't have a show at the time a couple weeks ago, but it didn't dawn on me, and I just couldn't bail on that. So, no, I won't be on your show. If you guys want me, I'll be more than happy to go on. But I really wanted to do the games. I thought it would be great to go up to Sioux Falls and do the games from Milwaukee on the radio, and just to be and I thought Kevin was a great idea. Just couldn't make it work, and just had the family commitment. I do apologize to you and to Rob, both you guys, as it just didn't work out, man. It just didn't. And it tough, but I just got to do that. And I hope it'll all be good. But did you get kicked off? Hope not. Don't get kicked off, Connie. Don't get kicked off. Yeah, at least you can drink beer in the game now. Although you still could have probably drunk beer with me. I would imagine it would have been an Australian style broadcast, which is what we have. We have a thing called coffee that my broadcast partners. I won't say names exactly, but a certain one, Iceman, will make sure we have coffees available, especially a doubleheader for game 2. When we have a doubleheader on a Saturday, we oftentimes have a coffee. And we'll have a real coffee early and another coffee later. But and I was telling this to Ryan Hyatt the other day too. My mate there, you're still there, Aunt. Good to see Connie. Good to see you still there. Telling this to my mate Ryan Hyatt the other day that I think I've told this story. I'll leave you guys with this story. It's pretty fun. I think I've told it several times, but Burlington, Iowa, cool, neat little ballpark, but the fans were right there below the press box. I mean, you could reach out and almost tap them on the top of the head. And there was actually the one suite they had was actually a little deck they had attached to the press box that had wooden rails, and it was just a little VIP seating. And so you had that too. But it was easy to come up and walk up to the booth. Either A, come to the door, or B, just walk up to the window, a little deck below me, and just, hey man, it's my birthday. Gives me a shout out, or hey, what was that lucky number again? What they just asked the broadcaster because they figured my window was open. I always broadcast the windows open no matter what, and they figured, hey, why not ask the broadcaster what's going on? And I would usually, say, hold on a second or whatever. Well, fans would used to bring me adult beverages in little 12-ounce keg cups. And we had a Thirsty Thursday. We had a Tuesday night Bud special, Wednesday night Miller special, Thirsty Thursday, then the weekends. And there were nights that I had a few of those aiming fluids lined up there. And it was funny because I would get one, and one fan would hand me two of them. There were 2-for-1s or whatever. They'd hand me two. Well, I might have a sip of one. And you'd look, if you could see behind where they couldn't see this, but behind the wall, behind the window seal where my broadcast gear was, had these little beer cups lined up, about a dozen just lined up, and with each one of those swallow out. But if you figure, if all 12 of them, I took one swallow out, I drank about 3 of those. So there were some Harry Carey-esque moments there, vintage Harry Carey moments. So yes, it would not have been, you might have been able to have some small beverages in the booth as well. So I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I remember vividly over the course of the 2 years I was in Burlington that I'd have, if you look at the trash can the next morning, and there'd be full of those little white Budweiser keg cups from the night before. And oftentimes there was a couple of fans that got wind of this and knew that I wasn't drinking all those. And they'd come up and I'd wait, and they'd come up to the break and I'd hand them one of the dollar beers out the window. And so it actually kind of became a bit where I would kind of re-gift the beers. And hey, about 2 or 3 of those, motor oil, right? So all good. But all right, guys, see you guys on Wednesday, 5 o'clock, same time, same place. Do it all again. Much love to everybody out there. I see my aunt out there. Glad she's out there. Virtual happy hour here on a Wednesday. We'll be back on a Wednesday, on a Monday. Keep saying it. Say it every time. And my pastor said it yesterday. And we go, Ken, great to see you, mate. But congratulations on those Gold Eyes this year. It was a great year for them. I keep saying that. Love you too, Connie. Love all you guys. But love you too. Keep saying this. My pastor said it, and I kind of felt like I was really doing something special when I said this, when he said this on service yesterday. But let's try to be better tomorrow than we're today. Let's be better next season. Let's just keep going forward and being better, showing more love, more empathy, and more virtual hugs. And let's just try to be, let's just have a little bit more love and not less divisiveness. Let's try that, okay? All right, everybody, go Stars, go. Hope your team wins as well, and hope you guys have a great rest. Hey, little Joey, what are you doing? Little Joey, you're there, mate. Beers. Little Joey and I, actually, there's a great story there. I'll throw this one out. Okay, LJ and I, what was this? 2011, 12-ish? I think it was. LJ and I were at the Ranger game, and it was the Rangers were a game of the week. It was the Monday night. I believe it was Monday night or Wednesday night baseball, one of the two, on ESPN. And I believe they were playing. Gosh, I don't remember who, but LJ and I had already probably we had a stop at there was actually a place, and I won't say where, but there was a place that had dollar beverages around the corner. We'd been there for a couple minutes. It's like 5 to 6, and it was on national TV. And here's little Joy and I enjoying adult beverages on TV. There's a shot of us on TV, and we're just having a good old time putting those adult beverages down during the Ranger game, at the game, on national TV. Proud moment for both of us. And hey, It was very fitting though, mate. Right, very fitting. But yeah, that was good times. And I think they went singing later and had Jaeger bombs. I'm sure, right? Had to be on national TV. Good to see you guys. Oh yeah, good to see you guys. All right, good to see everybody. Love y'all. We'll see you guys on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Much love to everybody. Let's put the old clothes up and get love you guys. Time for ribs in our house. Love you guys. We'll see you guys on Wednesday on Virtual Happy Hour.